Welcome, welcome. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
And we
Amen.
go into the share. And Parshat Chukat. Okay, here we go. Vayisu b'nei, remember we just had the problem, the griping about the manna, etc. So we're on to the next journeying of the Jewish people, right, in the wilderness. Vayisu b'nei Israel, and the children of Israel journeyed. Vayachanu be'ovot, and they encamped in Ovot. Now I am going to look because I think I have. Let me see. Okay, let me see if I can open it. Yes. Okay. Uh I'm sure you can't see it, but I will get this. I'm gonna stop the maybe I can additionally share. Let's see if I can do that. Well, it's okay. Let's see here. Yeah, here goes. Do you see this? I have this handy dandy map. Thank you, Google and Internet. Here we are. Okay. So they're around here. This is where they're around, this area here. So you can see they've gotten through most of the 40 years, okay? They had to go back here, etc. But at any rate, they're around here at this point. And in fact, you're going to hear about Moab and Mount Nebo and stuff like that, right? Mount Nebo, of course, is where Moses is buried. So, but I wanted you to see this map here. Okay, all right. Let's go back into the other share for a second. Okay. All right, so here we go. But I didn't see Ovot on that map, by the way. I don't know if anybody did, but I didn't. But anyway, Vayisume Ovot v'yachanu b'iyeh ha'avarim. So that we did see there, right? They journeyed from Ovot and they encamped in Iyeh ha'avarim, b'midbar, in the desert, in the wilderness, asher al pnei Moav, which bordered Moab, mimizrach hashemesh, on the east side, So let's take a look. There's a Rashi on this. So he's got something. Iyeh ha'avarim. So he says, Lo yadati. This is sort of sweet because Rashi's talking to us personally. He says, I don't know. Lama nikrash mam iyim. Why are they called iyim? Iyeh is a plural form of Hebrew, right? Why is their name iyim? The e, and this word lashon churva, it has the meaning of ruins. Hu davar hat hataut. Sorry, the Hebrew was a little bit, the print is a little hard for me to read. That's why I actually printed it in there, right? That is something that is swept away. B'matate. Matate is the word for a broom. Something, sounds like a hifil form, and it's something that sweeps away. V'ha'ayin bo yesod, and the ayin of iyeh is part of the root of the word levada, by itself. V'hu milashon ya'im. So there's this word ya'im mentioned in Exodus of parts of the utensils used to scrape out the whether it was the altar or the menorah, possibly the menorah, to clean it out. So that's there. And in Isaiah 27, there's it's used as a verb, right? Let me make sure I can read it. Sorry. Yes. Sorry, I'm trying to read it. Vaya barad, right? And the hail swept away, or will sweep away. So that's Iyeh. Ha'avarim, So what about avarim? La'avor means to pass. So derech ma'avar. Ma'avar is the noun of a pass, right? Like a mountain pass. So a way, a road of a pass, ha'ovrim sham et har Nevo, by which one passes Mount Nebo, el Eretz Canaan, to the land of Canaan. Shehu mafsik bein Eretz Moav le'eretz Emori. And what it does is it separates between Moab and the land of Moab and the land of the Amorites. Now, I actually have a thought. If EA means to be swept away, and it's since it's around Mount Nebo, as Rashi comments, we know that since Moses was died and was buried on Mount Nebo, and in a sense, he was swept away at that point, whether or not that's why it's called Iye Ha'avarim, right? Those who passed and were swept away. At any rate, just a thought. So, al pnei Moav, so this word, right, bordering, I translated according to Safaria, Moab, mimizrach hashemesh, this is the whole phrase in the Torah, b'mizracha shel Eretz Moav. It says on the eastern side of the land of Moab. So let me go back into that map and let's take a look and see what it says there. Let me see what I can do. I'm going to see if I can actually, let's see. Yeah, I see if I can share both these things. So let me see. Go to the window and see. There we go. Yeah, lovely. So here we are. I can try and make it a little larger and go down here. Right. So, well, yeah, Alvarim is not close. There goes. But whether or not this has to do, somehow has some connection with the fact that Moses is going to pass away. I don't know. It's a guess. It was just a thought. All right. So anyway, this is the area, and here's Moab, and I don't see Ammon at all. And if it's on the east side, so we can see if Moab goes all this way, and then maybe that is would be mean the eastern side of Moab. Right. So this is, I think it's lovely to be able to visualize it. By the way, Mount Hor would be where Aaron was buried. I think he dies on Mount Hor. So let's go back here. Let's try this. Yep, right. Okay, let's go on here. Okay. Misham nasu v'yachanu benachal Zared. And from there they journeyed and they encamped in the Wadi Zared or Zered. Zared is a pausal form because it's at the end of the sentence. Okay, let's just make sure I'm not leaving out any Rashis here. Okay, next. Misham nasu v'yachanu me'ever Arnon. So from there, they journeyed and they encamped on Aver Arnon on the other side of Arnon. I think it's again a wadi of some kind. Asher B'Midbar, which was, or unless it's just simply a name of a place. Again, I can go quickly see if it's there on the map. Do we see Arnon? Again, I didn't think I saw it. So, oh, there it is. There's the Arnon, there's the Wadi, and there's the Wadi Zera. Do you see it? It's very faint. There we go. So Arnon is in fact a Wadi. Okay. So this is where they're encamping. And these dots here indicate the places where they encamped. So let's go back here. Okay. Right. Let's okay, which is in the desert, which goes Hayotze Mikvul HaEmori, that comes out of the border of the Amorites. Ki Arnon Gvul Moav, because the Arnon is the border of Moab. Bein Moav uvein HaEmori. Between Moab, it demarcates the border between Moab and the Amorites. And once again, I'm going to go back here, right? We'd have to say that up here are Amorites and Moab is here. And I'm trying to think of, I think that Edom is down even further. Edom is down this way here. So it's interesting to see these places nowadays as well, by the way, and to see again, the relationship to these places. Okay. Let's take a look. Migvul ha'emori, the Amorite, the border of the Amorites. Okay. Tchum sof meitzar shalahem. In other words, the boundary, tchum, sof, of the edge of meitzar shalahem. A meitzar sounds like it would have to be like a strip of some kind. Let's just see which we'll keep going, right? V'chein, and in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 2, it says, Gvul Moav, right? Talks about the border of Moab, Lashon Katzeh V'sof. So this, it has the meaning of an edge and an end of something. So let me see if there's anything else there. So, okay. So maybe it just simply is where the land comes to the boundary with another land, other people. Ma'avar Arnon, right? Or is it let me make sure I've got the right thing. Me'aver Arnon, right? On the other side of the Arnon. Hikifu Eretz Moav, Kol Droma. So it's saying that the land of Moab went. I think what it's saying is that it went around. A hakafa is really to circumnavigate. But I think here it's saying it didn't surround it entirely. I don't know. Maybe it did, right? But no. So then it says Kol Droma, its entire south, Umizracha, and its east side. So the border of Moab bordered this. It bordered the Amorites, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, on the south and eastern side. Ad sheba'u me'aver hasheni, until they came up until the second side, the Arnon, to the Arnon, Betoch Eretz HaEmori, which was in the land of the Amorites, Bitzfuna shel Eretz Moav, which would be on the north of the land of Moab. And I can try and see if we can look at the map and see if that helps at all. This doesn't really, it doesn't really, but describe it, but it's sounding like here's the Moab, and somehow it surrounds, and this must be the Amorites up here, okay, and there's the Arnon, which divides these two places here, and maybe I'll have to see if I can find a better map to show us that particular area. Okay, so Hayotze Mikvul Ha'emori. So it extends from the border. Excuse me. I am so sorry. Let's see what I can do here. Oh my. There we go. It's got a mind of its own. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Hayotze Mikvul Ha'emori. That extends from the border of the Amorites. So he says, Ritsu'ah, that's a strip, right? Yotz'ah migvul ha'emori, it extends out from the border of the Amorites. V'hi shel Amoriim, which belongs to the Amorites. V'nichneset legvul Moav, and it goes into the boundary of the Moabites. So it's like there's a projection that goes into Moab, right? A strip of land, ad Arnon, until the Arnon, shehu gvul Moav, which is in fact the border of Moab. And I'm sorry, this is not 100% clear, but at least giving you an idea of what's going on. Visham chanu Yisrael, and that's where the Israelites encamped. V'lo ba'u ligvul Moav, and so they did not actually enter the border. They didn't pass through the border of Moab. Ki Arnon gavul Moav, because the Arnon is in fact the boundary of Moab. So there must be some strip by the Arnon that belongs to the Amorites and does not belong to the Moabites. And somehow the Israelites were able to encamp there. Vehem lo natnu lahem reshut la'avor ba'artzam. And the Moabites did not give them permission to traverse their land. And despite the fact that Moses doesn't tell us here, he doesn't mention it here, or Moses doesn't mention it at all, Pirsha Yiftach. However, Yiftach, Jephthah, right, in the book of Judges, does in fact mention it. That's what Rashi is telling us. Kamosh Amar, just as Yiftach says, and if you've read the book of Judges, this is Judges chapter 11, he talks to some of the peoples there, and he gives a brief history, a concise history of the travels of the Jewish people and their relationship to the people that they had to go through, right? Here we go. These, I believe, are Yiftach's words, or Jephthah's words. V'gam el melech Moav, shalach velo ava. So this is a chet, actually. It says that Moses also sent a message to the king of Moab, velo ava, and he didn't want to, right? The king of Moab did not wish to allow the Israelites to traverse through their land. Umoshe Ramzah. But Moses alluded to it. There's a hint of it, Deuteronomy chapter 2, Ka'asher, when Ka'asher, right. This is a quote now. Ka'asher asu li bnei Esav, just as the children of Esau did to me, meaning the Israelites, they wouldn't let them traverse their land either. Hayoshvim b'Seir, who dwell in Seir, v'hamoavim Hayoshvim ba'ar. And he just goes on to say, and the Moabites who dwell in Ar. I think Ar is the capital of Moab. Ma elu lo nitnam la'avor betoch artzam, just as the one that is the Edomites refused to allow, the children of Esau refused to let them traverse their land. Ella hikifuha, so they had to go around it, take a roundabout a route. Saviv, hikifuha saviv, they went around it. Af moavchem. So you can hear he puts the two together. Moses does. He never specifies that Moab wouldn't allow them, but he implies it. So again, what sort of literary or greater significance there is here, I'm not absolutely certain. Of course, Moab is a descendant of Lot, right? And we know that Edom is a descendant of Esau. They're all relatives, right, of the Israelites, but they weren't willing to cooperate with them at all. And these are not peoples that the Israelites would have gone and conquered in order to take over and possess the land of Canaan. These are not them. So just, at least for what it's worth for now, that's what we know. All right, so let's keep going a little bit more. Okay. Al kain ye'amar b'sefer milchamot Hashem. For this reason, okay, it is mentioned in the book of the battles of Hashem, and this is the quote. Et vahev. This Hebrew seems very, very complicated here, but we'll work it out. We'll puzzle it out. Et vahev besufa, right? Besufa, ve'et hanachalim Arnon, and the river on Arnon, or the rivers on Arnon. Okay, so let's take a look here, how Rashi deals with this. So there's some Aramaism going on here. Al Kain Yamer. So mentioning this journey that the Israelites took here, he says there is something that is recited. Al Chaniya Zo, and it's regarding this particular encampment, Benisim Shina Asubam, and the miracles that were done for them, or Ba, Neshinasu Ba, and that took place in this encampment. Yomar B'Sefer Milchamot Hashem. It is mentioned in this book called Milchamot Hashem, the battles of Hashem. Keshemisaprim nisim, when they recount the miracles, shall ne'esuva avotenu, that were done to our ancestors, yisapru et vahev v'goma. They will mention vahev, this vahev and vesufa, etc. Now let's get into the Hebrew itself here. Et vahev, right? Kamo et yahav. So the word yahav in Aramaic means to give, right? He gave. So it's as if it says he gave, kamo, as if it was saying, sheyomar, that he would say, min, okay, sorry. This is, he's giving another grammatical example here. Min ya'ad va'ad, right? So you've got the yud and the vav interchanging in this word, okay? Cain Yomar. So it says, Lauren, what do you have? Do you have the translation in front of you? Lauren?
Sorry, I had to unmute.
Yeah, I know, I understand. What?
Okay,
Ya'ad?
Yomar
Yes, after that. What does it
for
say?
the
So he's
Rashi.
saying from the word, yes, from the word Ya'ad, we can also see the word Va'ad. And I don't know if it has something to do with testimony or something else. It may have a different meaning from
Okay,
in
so
another
the
Aramaism.
second Rashi.
Yeah,
Okay, like et Yahav, which is
yes,
the Aramaic root meaning to give,
yes.
just as from the root, and then it said Yud Ayin Dalad, we
Right,
say
right.
Vav Ayin Dalad. So from Yahav to give, we get Vahav, and the Vav is part of the root. That
Right.
is to say, what he gave them and wrought many miracles.
Okay, so that's going on. So they're not translating Ya'ad and Va'ad. Okay. I'll need to double check what the translation is of that. I mean, of Va'ad we know is like a counsel. So if Ya'ad and Va'ad has something to do with giving counsel, I'm not sure. Again, the word aid is to give testimony, so having
Right.
counsel will all be related. I was hoping they had translated that because I
Yeah.
don't have the translation in front of me. Okay, so going on, and this is what you were saying, about to say, Cain Yomar, okay, or Ye'amer, so it is also said, Min Yahav Vahav. So you can also take the word Yahav and write it as Vahav. Vahavav Yesod, this is what you were saying, and the letter Vav in this word is part of the root Hu. Omar. So let's put it all together, Rashi's saying. That is to say, Eit Asher Yahav Lahem, that which he did for them, or that which he gave them, V'harbei Nisim B'Yamsuf, and the many miracles at the Red Sea. The Eta Nechalim Arnon. So he says, and along with those miracles that God had performed at the Red Sea, he also performed miracles at the wadis of Arnon, of the river Arnon. Keshem shemisaprim. So again, this is sort of the point that's being made in this sentence in the Torah. Keshem shemisaprim benisei yamsuf. Just as they discuss and talk about and recount the miracles of the Red Sea. Kach yesh lesaper benisei nachalei Arnon. We can also recount the miracles that took place in the wadis of Arnon. She'af kan, because here too ne'esu nisim gedolim, great miracles were performed. Umahem hamnisim, and Rashi, so logically goes on to say, so what were these miracles? So we're going to go on to the next sentence. The Eshed HaNechalim, right? And the pouring out of the rivers, Asher Nata, which he planted, Leshevet Ar. So Ar, remember, is the capital, all right? So that Ar could be inhabited. V'nishan ligvul Moav, and they bent over to the border of Moab. That's the end of this quote from Sefer Milchemet Hashem. And boy, does it scream for Rashi's interpretation here. It is so poetic and so hard to figure out, but Rashi will in fact succeed in doing that based on, of course, the tradition. So the Eshed HaNechalim, Tirgum Shel Shafach, the Aramaic, so this is an Aramaism as well, right? So the Aramaic of to pour out or poured out, Eshed, right? So what's going on is Shafach HaNefalim. So we're talking about the fact that the rivers were pouring out, shenish, nishpach sham, because there was spilled dam Emorim, the blood of the Amorites, shayu nechpaim sham, who were hiding there. They'd been hiding there, and he's going to go on and explain. Lefi shayu harim gorim gvohim, and the reason why is that this pass that they were going through in this wadi was surrounded on either side by high mountains. The Hanachal Amok, and the river or the wadi is deep, the Katzar and narrow. So you can see they're going through this pass, and it's the wadi is very narrow, and there are hills on either side. You can picture it. The Haharim Smuchim Zelazeh, and the hills are so close on either side to one another. Adam Omed al Hahar Mizeh, a person can stand on the mountain on one side, Umedaber im Chavero Bahar Mizeh, and he can have a conversation with his neighbor, his friend on the other mountain. V'haderech over betoch hanachal, and the way passes through the wadi. Amru Emorim. So the Amorites were thinking, Keshiyikansu Yisrael la'aretz, when the Israelites go enter the land, letoch hanachal, into the wadi, la'avort, in order to pass through, neitzei min ha'meorot shbeharim, we will come out from the caves in the mountains, shelamala mehem, which is above them, v'nahar game, and we will kill them, we'll slaughter them, bechitzim, with arrows, uva avnei balistraot. Balistraot, I have to think, is either a Greek, probably Greek, but it could be also Latin. So it's a catapult essentially. V'hayu otan hanikim, and those crevices, bahar, that were in the mountain, sheltzad Moab, that were on the side of Moab, uvahar sheltzad Emorim, and in fact on the mountain as well, there were these caves on the side of the Amorite side as well. Hayu keneged otan nekaim, so those caves on one side were offered those particular crevices, kemin karnot Ushadayim. They were opposite on the other side, the mountain on the other side. It was like horns and breasts that would fit into those caves. In other words, they could lock into those caves. So that's what's going to happen, right? Boltin lachutz, they would stick outward. Kevan sheba'u Yisrael lavor, and when the Israelites came to pass through this wadi, nizdazahar, the mountain quaked, Shel Eretz Yisrael. Okay, I believe that's what it is. The mountain of Israel could be. I'm not certain. That usually Eretz Yisrael would be an abbreviation. Keshivcha hayotze. Okay, and I think it is. He's saying on account of the Israelites, right? This area. I guess. I mean, Moabites and Amorites. Maybe Amorites would have been one of the nations that they were supposed to conquer, but not Moabites. At any rate, when the Israelites went in, the mountains greeted each other, keshivcha hayotze, just like a maidservant who goes out lahakbil pnei gvirta, to welcome her mistress. The nitkarev letzad. So that's what happened. In other words, it's describing the land of Israel as running out to greet the Israelites, right? Very poetic, right? The nitkarev letzad har shel Moav, and it drew close to the mountain of the Moabites. The nichnusu otan hashadayim, and those breasts entered letoch otan nikaim. Okay, they would enter those crevices. Vahargum, and this would of course kill the Amorites who are hiding in the caves, ready to attack and ambush the Israelites. Vahargum, so it killed them. V'zehu asher nata lashevet ar, and that's that is the part of the verse that we're quoting that's referring to it, and it says, "Who planted the Shevet are." Hmm. So Leshevet could also mean to inhabit, or for the inhabitants of Har. Shehahar Nata, because the mountain uh, went Mimkomo, so it went from its place, V'nikarev litzad gvul Moav, and it went to the side of the border of Moab, V'nidbakbo, and it stuck to it, V'zehu v'nishan, and that's the point about, remember, it was leaning over, right? It was resting on the Gvul Moav, on the border of Moab. And he says, Bisvarim acherim eno. This looks interesting that what he's saying is this last little part of Rashi, if I'm understanding this correctly, isn't found in certain manuscripts. Yeah, we'll finish it up. Avru Yisrael al Harim, and the Israelites traversed over the mountains. V'lo yadu hanisim ha'elu, and they weren't even aware of these miracles. Ela al yedei haba'er nichnas lasham, except by means that you'll see it's going to come up a little bit of the well that in fact, of course, penetrated that area that where this had happened, and so I believe what they're saying is that the wells were pouring blood from the slain of the Amorites. And on that happy note, we will stop for today. Let's pick it up. Of course, I'm being ironic, but still, it's
Uh,
yes.
did this happen on today's what they call Jordan?
Oh,
The,
yes, yes.
this has all happened on the side of Jordan.
Right, right.
Okay, well, when they reached a certain point, they reached Jericho.
Oh
Uh, they,
gosh.
they didn't war on the Canaanites yet. They were in Jericho and they were fighting the Amorites.
Yes. Yes, they were. I'm trying that I think Sichon, if I'm not mistaken, I could be, these all these details to try to remember. But you had Sichon king, I think he was king of I think he was an Amorite king. You also had Og. They've not come up yet, but they went out, they were supposed to protect the Canaanites, the other Canaanites. There were two very strong armies and kings. And when they tried to attack the Israelites and prevent them from getting in, of course, they were defeated. But yeah, Jericho was the first official conquest of the land. Before they were just dealing with armies of the people who wanted to prevent them from getting in. Okay, let me
Yeah.
stop here. I'm gonna stop the recording.